So you're looking for a sales training course that's going to help you sell more jewelry. Well, you've found the right video. This is part number 2. We're going to be covering limiting beliefs. Now make sure to watch through to the end of the video. This way you can see what's going to be covered in part number 3 and hear a little bit about it as well. Now if you did miss out on part number 1, make sure to click the link that's up here in the corner of the video, watch through that before continuing with part number 2. Now my name is Levon and I'm the owner of Kruger Digital, the channel you're watching at the moment. In this channel will be covering techniques, skill sets, personal development tips and tricks that are going to help you increase your sales within the luxury industry. Not within decades, not within years, not within months, not within weeks, but right now. So consider subscribing to the channel if you're in this industry or you have an interest to get into this industry as well. Now, why should you be listening to me? You have tray after tray of settings to pick. This is the Levian around for a shopping emergency. Well, I was a port and shopping guide, meaning I worked for Royal Caribbean and Celebrity Cruise Lines as the #1 person that people would talk to on board the ship when it came into shopping in these different Caribbean ports. I'd be on TV, I would do presentations to hundreds of people in the theaters on board as well. Now, I would have 3 to sometimes even 6,000 people every single week boarding a ship that I was working on from every part of the world with all different interests, and of course my job was to tell them where to shop, but I would be competing with beliefs like I want to go to the beach instead. I want to go to this airport beach in St. Martin. I want to go zip lining with my family. I want to go and do this. I want to go and do that. All of these different opinions on what is cool and good to do compared to shopping in a jewelry store, well, down there in the Caribbean. So I've dealt with a lot of these limiting beliefs. I'm going to share some of this with you, as I'm sure you have dealt with a lot of these beliefs as well. And I'm interested to know. Let me know. Scroll on down and leave a comment for me as well. At the bottom of this video, scroll on down, comment what is your limiting belief that you've had around selling jewelry. For now, maybe you've had this belief for weeks, months, years, whatever it is, list it down below and maybe I'll be able to do a video on that in a future video that you see on this channel as well. Now here's a little overview of what we're going to be covering. We're going to be covering awareness of these beliefs, creating that awareness. Number 2, we're going to be listing these, and then number 3, we're going to be reframing these. This is restructuring the belief to move it from limiting to make it empowering for you as well. So let's jump right on into it, awareness of them. So now I'm going to give you some of these ideas that might help to stimulate your mind, to remind you about some of these things that might have been rushing through your mind when you have been dealing with a customer. So let's say, well, I want to think about it. You know, a lot of customers, they really like to think. They need to really logically go through everything and make sure this is the right decision they're making to purchase this ring, to purchase this watch. You know, they need to really think about a lot of these things. So I understand this is why they tell me this, so I should just let them think about it. It's too expensive, you know. Oh gosh, that is a lot more than what I wanted to spend on this piece of jewelry when I walked into the store today. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I fully understand as well. Or it's ugly, you know, you don't like that piece of jewelry. Maybe you think, wow, who would ever buy something like that? I mean, that just looks hideous. Now, maybe you feel that way about a certain piece of jewelry or even a certain brand you sell at the moment as well. Maybe you've seen it cheaper online. Maybe customers have told you it's cheaper online. Maybe even your co-workers have told you they've seen it cheaper online as well. Maybe it's better to be able to order it from Amazon. Who knows, right? Now, really, get this in your head, and now let's start thinking about it. It's probably already in your head, but maybe you need to dig a little bit to bring it back up as well. You know, what are your friends saying about you and your job? What do your parents say about your job? What do your co-workers even say about your job as well? You know, are they positive about it? Are they negative about it as well? What's going on? Bring up some of these beliefs that you have going on in your head at the moment, because in step number 2, which I'm moving on to now, is we're going to get you to list them. Get out a pen and a piece of paper and start listing these beliefs that you've brought some awareness to. Maybe you really do feel that this piece of jewelry is too expensive and you would never buy something like that. Maybe you're expressing this belief onto the customer as well because you think it's too expensive. Maybe you think then, oh, the customer's going to think it's too expensive too. Maybe you think it's an ugly piece of jewelry, but the customer thinks it's the most beautiful piece of jewelry that they've ever seen. Which I'm going on to kind of cover this part a little bit more in step number 3, which is reframing, but just really get into listing these first, okay? So get that pen and paper out, start listing these ones down, no matter how small this is. If you think that that belief might limit you in some way, even the smallest little way, get this down onto pen and paper. You know, dealing with these beliefs, you need to get this out of your head and in front of you on a piece of paper, and you're going to stick this piece of paper up somewhere in your bedroom or somewhere where you're going to see this every single day before you arrive to work. And this can't just be, you're going to put it in your notes on your phone, it needs to be on pen and paper. Now, part number 3. Reframing. This is the best possible part. Reframing these beliefs and really getting you looking outside of yourself and trying to throw you into someone else's shoes, let's say. Now, like, for example, what if the customer actually enjoys dealing with a sales professional? Maybe you think at the moment that, oh yeah, a lot of customers, they just like to look around the store. So I just always want to give them all the time in the world to be able to look around the store, and then eventually I'll go on over there and I'll talk to them as well. Maybe that customer is someone that works in sales. Maybe that customer really enjoys it when they're dealing with a professional that comes on over, that asks the customer about their needs, that, you know, it breaks the ice a little bit, compliments them about the beautiful ring that they own, the beautiful bracelet, the watch that they own. At the moment, maybe it's the beautiful diamond solitaire studs that you could see from when they entered the jewelry store as well. You know, people buy these things because they want to hear compliments about them. They don't want to hear nothing about them. They want to hear good things about themselves. What if your customer has actually saved up for years? What if your customer's even saved up for a decade to be able to purchase this one piece that you have in your store? And you think it's too expensive. You know, don't be selfish. And this is going to sound harsh. Do not be selfish. Do not express your own views on what is expensive on someone else. Because think about it. What if that customer that walks into your store, what if they're a multi-millionaire? Now, what if they're a multi-millionaire? You have no idea about it. They're a multi-millionaire, and dropping $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 is like the equivalent of you going to the movies each weekend. You know, it's something they would do on a weekly basis. Yeah, it's no problem. Like that's just because their income is, you know, $10 million a year. Like that's what they're making. So $30,000 a week is okay, and it's fine to spend that on a gift for myself or a friend or family member. You know, maybe it's that, or maybe it's just the fact that they have saved up for so long, and now you're trying to judge the customer because of the judgment you're placing upon yourself on what is too expensive. So, you know, get out of that selfish mindset and get into the serving mindset. That's what I really would like to say. Get into the serving mindset of serving the customer and looking after the customer's needs, not your own personal needs. What if your customer actually wanted help? What if that customer that's just, you know, walking around the store, they're having a little look at things, and you believe, oh no, that kind of customer, I know that, they don't need help, they're just the ones that kind of, you know, browse around and then they just leave as well. And, you know, but what if that person actually wanted assistance? Because you know that kind of customer, you believe they don't want assistance. What if that was actually the case? How many people have you already allowed to come into the store, walk around and go through and leave just because you believed that? You know, how many of those customers then end up going online and leaving a review saying that, you know, the people there, they just weren't really that helpful. You know, I was walking around and just no one offered to assist me. And, you know, I really do like jewelry, or I really did like this watch brand, and, you know, just no one came over to me. What if the customer's friends, even back at home, you know, judge him or her about how much money they spend, and now you're doing the same thing? You know, by creating that judgment, and this really happens so often when you get into these much larger sales. You know, when you're getting into, maybe you've never spent before in your entire life $20, $30, $40, $50, $100,000. Now, if you haven't spent that much in your life ever before on one item, now you might even start to judge the customer and say, wow, like, I mean, it's a lot of money that they're spending on this as well. And maybe the customer just doesn't like that because their friends and other family members as well maybe judge them on how much money they spend, because, you know, you see all these articles today in the newspaper and online about, you know, their CEO got a raise of $30 million or whatever, and this guy now has, Elon Musk now is worth $100 billion, and people, judge these people because, it's too much to have that much money. So a lot of these wealthier or more affluent people that might want to spend the money, because of how much judgment they receive from it, they do not do that. So really go through your list that you've created and start reframing these beliefs. How could you change that belief you put on the list and turn it into something positive that actually is serving to the customer and not serving to your own self-centered beliefs? Now, again, it might sound harsh me saying this, but get real with yourself. You're not selling to you, you're selling to someone else. Now, here is an exercise for you as well that I've created. Why should a customer buy from you? What is it that you offer that is more than just a product you sell? Buying jewelry is an experience. Create a list of what you personally bring to the table. Now, you might know all the features, all the benefits. You might know the model number. You might know exactly the quality of each stone that's there in that ring or that piece of jewelry. But purchasing jewelry is an experience itself. So what is it that you can bring within your personality, within your sales presentation, within your expertise that differentiates you from others? Create a list now. How many reasons do you have why a customer should buy from you compared to the reasons a customer has why they should not buy from you? The person with the most reasons will be the person that wins, will be the person that ends up creating that sale and closing that sale. So now make sure to do this exercise as well as part of part number 2 in the sales training course. Now, also, I'd love to recommend to you a book to read, Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins speaks in this book a lot about reframing. So if you have not heard of this and the concept's a little bit foreign to you, I recommend for you to pick up the book. You'll find a link down in the description of this video that's going to take you through to Amazon so you can download this book directly onto your own personal Kindle as well. Now, part number 3, this is part number 2 complete. Part number 3, we're going to be talking about opening the sale. Now we're going to be talking about when you get into the store, opening the sale, but before you actually approach the customer, what are some of these additional limiting beliefs that might be going through your head, preventing you from really working on what you then say? Because what you then say does matter, but how you say it matters so much more. So that's what we're going to cover in part number 3 as well. Now make sure again, subscribe to the channel as well and click that bell icon. This way you'll be notified when part number 3 is up and ready for you to watch. That's it for now. I'll see you in part number 3.